Okay, good morning. So let's kickstart today's section. And today we are having the honor to have two guest speakers to join us. First of all, we have got Dennis Choi. Dennis is the MD of the China Resources Capital Management. And today he's going to share with us a lot of insight talking about from the international point of view to the market in these regions. While we are looking at the entrepreneurship, I keep on talking about we need to know about the market. We need to know about the landscape. We need to know about from upstream, midstreams to downstreams. So that is why I think today we are going to learn a lot from Dennis. And then we have got our second speakers, Ronald Wu. Ronald is the director on Pro-Collaboration Associations. He has been doing a lot of the youth development programs. And indeed, when I met him, actually we have been friends for a long time. But earlier this year, we are talking about, okay, we need to do something for the youth in Hong Kong. What should we do? And then he asked me, okay, for the students in Hong Kong U, and what do they need? And that is why we have got this conversation talking about what would Hong Kong U students be looking for. And I have been talking to him on entrepreneurship. And that is why we are talking about on entrepreneurship. Are we talking about personal development, or are we talking about something else? And because I know that for Hong Kong U students, there are a group of very smart students. And that is why they are looking for how to develop their own projects, how to develop their own personal approach on entrepreneurship, how they are going to look for opportunities so that they can excel in the future market. And that is why we are talking about, if we can have some experts talking about it, it will be great. And one will say, I know someone. We should get Dennis to share with us. And that is how we start to organize these seminars. And today we also got, actually, from our Hong Kong U side, and we have got Hong Kong U Center of Asian Entrepreneurship and Business Values. We have got our director, Professor Simon Lam, here with us as well. So we will say this is indeed a collaboration on academic, research, and industries. And this is how we are going to see what we are going to listen to on these seminars. And on that note, I would like to welcome Ronald to start the conversation today.
Well, thanks, Joseph. I'll just say a few words before I'll let Dennis start his talk. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Ronald. I am representing Pro-Collaborations. First, I would like to thank Hong Kong U Professor Dr. Lam and Joseph Chan inviting us to come for the sharing and join you guys this morning. Today's main speaker, Dennis Choi. He graduated in Hong Kong, here in Hong Kong University 2003, the year of SARS. In 15 years, 1-5, he became the managing director of the top leading investment entity. Well, of course, during these 15 years, CFA, master, etc., etc. I'm sure you guys would like to learn from his experience. And let's give him a big hand and welcome Dennis Choi.
Thank you, Ronald. And thank you, Professor Lam, and also Joseph, and everyone for coming here. So I think I should first introduce myself. And like Ronald mentioned, I graduated here in 2003. So I'm the first generation of people having online course, using 56K, sending email to have the online education. I can't imagine that it will come back again like after 17 years. But things change so fast. We don't have a video conference. We don't even have a telephone conference. We only use email back to 2003. So that's how I start my career. So I graduated from the Faculty of Architecture, Real Estate and Construction. So I qualified as a surveyor in 2007. And then in 2008, I found that I have a lot of clients coming from all over the world. Because they are very interested in China market, looking for real estate investment. Because back to that timing, renminbi appreciated like 3-5% every year. And even if you do nothing, you just put the money, exchange the US dollar into renminbi, you will get 3 to 5%. And then the fixed like interest rate is like 3-5% again. So if you do nothing, put money in China, you get like high single-digit return. So that's why there was a lot of hot money flowing into China. And then if you put it into real estate, on top of the like 7-8%, you will get another like 10-20% of return. So that's how I start my career. And I saw that a lot of international players are going into China market, like the Morgan Stanley Real Estate Fund, like Deutsche Bank, and a lot of giants, they are coming to China. And back to that time, I could speak English, and I know the international practice. So I was very lucky to see a lot of like very senior people across the globe, and I showed them around. So one of my job was like tour guide, taking all the foreigners to travel around China. And then I found that doing as a surveyor, as a consultant, can't really change the world. So I want to change my role to buy side. And very luckily, I got into PAG, so it's a Hong Kong-based Asia hedge fund. So I joined their absolute return teams back to like 2008 September, 1 week before Lehman collapsed. So another very like interesting moment. So I graduated in 2003 when it was SARS. And then I changed to from real estate surveyor to a like investment guy. September of 2008. It was like the end of world. Our managing partner, he could travel to the US to comfort the investor because it was a open-end fund. So the investor, they can redeem the money anytime. And we have very good liquidity because we have listed securities and also lendings and asset investment in listed securities and also private market. So it was a very, very challenging moment. But we gone through it. And PAG acquired Secure Capital Japan back to 2009-2010, when Secure Capital is almost going to default. So after the acquisition, PAG doubled their size, and they are doing very well nowadays. And in 2011, I find that after the global financial crisis, the market changed so much because in the first like 10 years when I work, international players, they dominate the market. They have the power of pricing and also on the securities. But after global financial crisis, like Lehman collapse, a lot of Bear Stearns and other big investment bank and fund house, they got collapsed, and all the talents get into Chinese company. So I saw that, sounds like China Resources is a good place for me to try. And then I joined China Resources until today. So that's how I start my career. And I will skip the like CFA, like RICS, MBA part, which is not very important. So I would first talk about the M&A trend. So what's happened in the last few years? So back to the last decade, the global M&A market was crazy. Because of the Chinese capital flooding into every continent, the global M&A go up a lot. But I just cut those parts up before and after the COVID. So we can see that right after I graduate as a surveyor, the first thing we teach is you have to do site visit. You have to really physically look at the asset. And for private equity, you really need to look at the people, the asset. And also for fundraising, for limited partners to put money into a general partner, a fund manager, you really need to meet the people. But everything's changed since the COVID. For example, we have made an investment in a UK infrastructure project. In the shareholders agreement, it said we need to have like monthly board meeting in person. So it can't happen. And during the COVID, the first fund was raised, not from us, from other fund manager, without any physical meeting. Everything was done virtually. So there was a lot of breakthrough that we can't really imagine in the past. So you can see that in the COVID time, yes, the transaction dropped quite a lot because people can't travel. But still, like last year in July, we closed a deal in UK I didn't travel to UK. I can't do that. We didn't see the management. We didn't see the asset, but we still closed the deal, and that was a really big changes for us. One of the reasons that we can get the shares, we collaborate with KKR, so they got the deal. It's a 4.2 billion pounds, which is a huge one. So some of the Korean guys, they are very like reluctant to close a deal without traveling there. So we kept like 200 million US dollar shares from the deal. So that's I think it's very important to see the importance of flexibility. But I think the Korean guys they changed. Nothing personal, just what happened in last year deal. So that's one of the things that we can see, both the deal volume, so number of deals, and also the deal value. Both goes up right after the COVID. So COVID didn't really destroy the market. And I think you can imagine the largest investment market is mostly North America, which is US and Canada. The other one is Asia Pacific, also European market. But from the chart, you can see that Middle East is a very, very like up and coming market. For example, when we make investment into UK, like regulated asset, stabilized asset, you're probably looking for like high single-digit return. Probably now goes down to like 6-7% equity IRR after leverage, which is crazy. So people are trying to find alternative asset. So Middle East is okay because Middle East they are mostly like US, like Hong Kong dollar. The currency linked to US dollar, so it's very safe in terms of currency. They have very good credit rating, but the return used to be like low teen to mid teen, but now because of the influx of capital, well, it become high single digit again, which make us really difficult to find investment opportunity. But still, they have high single digit comparing to like 5-6% into mature market. They are already very, very attractive. So you can see after the COVID, a lot of like governments, like the US, they put trillions of dollars into the market. If you look at the numbers, in 2008, US government, they put like 1 trillion, which is already crazy. But this time they put like 10 trillion. So the government, they are used to getting money and putting liquidity into the market, and they can't go back. So the whole market is now flooded with capital. So makes investment very difficult. So for China, you can see I don't think you can see the numbers, but the key point here is we can differentiate into like a financial investor, like private equity, like venture capital. They invest purely looking for returns. But in China, you can see more strategic investor. It could be corporate, like Tencent, like Alibaba. It's just like the US. You have a big giant Fortune 500, like the Dow Chemical, like the P&G. They will buy asset, buy the network, distribution network, or expertise, or the market. They buy clients through the M&A. So that's the same in China. We also have a strategic buyer and also pure financial investors. But in China, you also split into a state-owned enterprise, the SOE, state-owned enterprise, and also POE, the private-owned enterprise. So we are part of the state-owned enterprise, but we also raise capital from third party. So it makes us a mix of like SOE and POE. So what's going on in the China investment market? From my experience, the market was really hot from 2013, 14. Back to like Ping An, they acquired a building in London, and then the whole global M&A goes up like crazy. And it peaked around 2016-17 when the China government controlled the capital outflow of China, and then slow down a bit. But you can't really stop the trend. So after the slowdown, the market goes up again. But the changes is mostly on the sector. So back to like a decade ago, most of the investment are focused on real estate. Straightforward, Chinese love real estate, right? So they go to US, London particularly, and Australia to buy a lot of land, buildings, look for stable return. And if you look at the latest trend, people looking more on the technology side, more on the higher end like manufacturing. Because when you do an investment, you can have a lot of objective, you can get return. But after 2016-17, there's a lot of policy discouraging Chinese company to invest into like hotel, not real estate, encouraging people to buy more into technology. Because if you buy into technology, their product, their branding, their technical know-how, you can put them into the China market. But at the same time, you can see the US, the CVS, Australia, the Verb, and also the Germany, the BMW, all the regulators tighten the regulation. So now, basically, if you go to US for making an acquisition minority, even if without boss seat, probably your lawyer will ask you to file into CVS just to play safe. So the global M&A market is subject to a lot of geopolitical risk. And in this part, so this the CL Capital and KKR, the deal that we mentioned, we invest into Veridor, which is one of the largest waste to energy company, which is basically collect rubbish, like reduce, reuse, recycle, and they used to, the UK guys, they used to export rubbish to China and other developing countries. But 2 years ago, China stopped that. And then, what can we do? They don't do a landfill. They used to just export the rubbish. So they now focus more on like recycling, reducing. So it's a very good business because you collect rubbish and you receive a gate fee. And then it's not a regulated business. It's a contractual business with like 10-15% years of contract. And then you have your plant, which take you like 5-7 years of lead time to build a new plant. So when China stopped the export of rubbish, the capacity is like 120% because they have nowhere to put their rubbish. So make it a very good investment opportunity for us. And at the same time, China is also trying to convert the rubbish. So you can see from the news that you have to like do the first thing is you have to put the rubbish into the right color, and then you can like sort the rubbish to do the recycling and also the waste to energy. So this is also something that we are interested. We would collaborate with the UK company, supposedly last year, but because of COVID, I'm still here. Hopefully we can go and meet the management and the team next year. When we do the investment, it's very tough nowadays. In 2008, like I mentioned, 1 trillion was put into the market. Now it's 10 trillion just from US, not to mention Europe, UK, China, all the key market. So we are full of capital, and as the price is very high, volatility is very high, interest rate is low, and also the growth is very low. So we have too high, too low here. And we didn't see any changes here. Also, inflation rate is low, but it's going up a little bit. So we can see that even if you have money, it's not easy for you to find a good deal. Because when I joined PAG in 2008, I was like 20-something. I was very lucky to join the platform and become an investor. I represent US dollar and go in the China market. So when a young guy like I was back to 2008-9, I travel business class, go to the 5-star hotels, and then like 10-20 people like welcoming me at the airport because I represent money. It don't happen again. Investor, the entire universe now switch. We are the investor. We have to welcome the entrepreneur, the great entrepreneur guys. Hey, welcome to our fund. Can we invest in you? Because there are too many capitals nowadays. So capitals are looking for good project, good teams. So financial or investor is not as prominent as it was like decades ago. So market is changing a lot. So I think we should see the fact and think what should we do. And our house rule. I think to make it more like easier to understand, probably I will also shift the language a little bit because we are a Chinese company. Every private equity or every investor, you will have your own expertise and your own core competence. Yeah, probably in MBA or in business school, you will see the Porter 5 forces. What would be your comparative advantage? So when we make investment, we look at top down. So we look at what's happening at the globally, geopolitically, and also what's the government policy. So that's the top down. From the first question is, should we make investment? If yes, which continent? If Asia, then which sector? If it is healthcare, then which subsector? And then which company? So that's what we call the top down. Or you can short, not necessarily long. And bottom up is you have to look at the specific deals. So like people like us, like us, we have to go around the market and see what deals are available in the market. So we look at the fundamentals of this company, the business model, business idea. So this is bottom up. After you have the top down and bottom up, we still have another angle. So our business angle and our core competitive advantage angle. What is our advantage? So for China Resources, we have a lot of business in mainland China. So we can't avoid that we are not strong in offshore. We don't have much business offshore. We only have money. And also I just mentioned money is not that valuable now. So we have to find another angle. What can you do to make your money more attractive, to ask the good entrepreneur to welcome your investment? So we have to look at, like our CEO always said, if you make investment, you have to go outside, look at the sky, look at what's the weather, and then look down what's happening on the road, and look at what you have. What equipment do you have? Do you have an umbrella? Do you have a stick? It's exactly like top down, bottom up, and your own core competitive advantage. And also for this part, because we are the state-owned enterprise, we need to find a way. The easier part for Chinese company is we have a very specific 5-year plan, which starts from this year, 2021 to 2025. Maybe I can switch to Mandarin a bit so that you can like have better understanding. But I will also put the key points in English again. 所以这个华人集团它是一个央企，但是我们的总部是在香港，所以我们从这个国家的那个大的战略，我们发现其实有很多可以给我们带来一些投资和这个企业那个业务的那个机遇。我们选了几个，因为像刚才说，我们需要找一些我们有核心竞争力的那些行业。所以第一个是双循环。双循环需要的是内循环和外循环。内循环，因为中国现在有13亿多的人口，所以它的 domestic 的 consumption， 本地的那消费，它可以带动很多关联的那个产业。所以我们在香港的一个企业可以用好这样的一个契机，把海外的一些好的产品、好的技术，通过投资把它们带到中国，去协助这个双循环。另外一个是双碳，我们有电力的企业，我们有刚才说的垃圾的发电，我们有很多 property real estate， 我们每一个产业其实都是产生大量的那个碳，尤其是那个传统企业，所以这个双碳其实也带到我们在一些新的能源、一些新能源的科技、储能等等的科技的一些投资。另外一个是大湾区。我们在这个香港其实是一个特别好的一个地方，可以把海外的那个international 国际化的那种法律法规管理的方式，能够通过香港这个平台，把国际和国内两边能够连在一起。所以我们通过看到这个“1045”的规划，再把它放到我们自己的公司里面，再把我们的核心竞争力跟这个国家的政策能够拉在一起，就变成这就是我们其中一个 top down， 就从上而下的一个方式，去把国家的政策放到我们的这个企业的投资里面。So we have this very good and clear 5-year plan, but this is not a fixed plan. All the plans. So I heard a very interesting saying from our senior management last week. Plan is nothing. Planning is everything. So the plan is nothing because everything's changed every day. But planning is everything. We have to plan for your futures every day. So sounds like a contradiction, but that's life. Life is very, very tough. So we see that like a lot of industry like change overnight. So like the reduction of carbon emission, it brings us a lot of opportunity. Because like back to 7 years ago, we make a bidding in Australia. It is a very traditional like coal fire project. The French company, they own the project. And they cannot get any financing from other French banks, so they have to sell all the assets at very low price. So this is investment. So policy is related to investment. And the carbon emission target is not just local, it's a global trend. So whatever the trend is, it will bring new opportunities to, especially to young people. Because like I'm not very old, but when people age, you will get more like stuck to your original mindset. You will have your own default. So your strength is you have a lot of experience, which will stop you from thinking like innovatively. It requires like training. It requires a very systematic way to break all this default. So probably this, the strength of Joseph. So so what would be the key driver we can see? The 1.3, 1.4 billion population is like crazy, and many things are happening at the same time, and life is very difficult because it's always you can get contradicting information. We see consumption upgrade. People are paying $100 for ice cream. People are paying very high price for luxury product quality. At the same time, people are buying very cheap things like in Pinduoduo. I heard from some of our colleagues, they spend $5 for 10 mangoes, and they have to throw like 3 to 4 of them, but still they get the enjoyment. Oh, I get a good bargain. So at the same time, you get the consumption upgrade and downgrade at the same time. So you can see that the consumer market, yeah, it's going up, but life is not that easy. It's going like a U shape. We skip the middle part. Either you are very luxury, very high quality, or you are extremely efficient in terms of logistics. You have to deliver your product like right in time. Like I go to like Mainland earlier this year in the Chinese New Year. I ordered the Luckin coffee. It's crazy. I put the order. Everything was done in my mobile. 15 minutes later, the coffee arrived. Like $10, $15. I can't comment on the quality, but it's hot. So at least it's hot. So I think the logistics in mainland China changed a lot of consumption behavior. So people in the middle become very challenging. So even if you look at the trend, yeah, it's a really good trend. And it doesn't mean that you can capture if you don't really look at what's really happening in the market. And it's really difficult to get into the market. Like our group also make investment into Oatly, the oat milk. So you go to Starbucks, you add $4, you can change to from the full milk to oat milk. So we are the single largest shareholder. When it's not my team, it's other sister companies' investment. So when they make the investment, they want to put the this is a Sweden company. They want to introduce into China, but find that their vitamin, their ingredient doesn't fit the China regulatories. So they have to find another way. They don't want to stop the introduction in China. So they put it into Pacific Coffee. Pacific Coffee was owned by China Resources. They put I think the oat milk tastes really bad, but so I really hate it. But when they put it into the milk, the good taste of coffee cover all the well, the smell of the oatmeal. Well, then it become a free marketing of the oatmeal because they build a premium branding. You have to add $4, right? If you change your skim milk, you don't have to pay any. But still, people see that, and Starbucks also see that. So they also penetrate into Starbucks. So before we get the approval from China government, they already have all the branding, and the penetration market into the market was really great. So you have to see that, okay, we have the opportunity, and the opportunity is very diversified. You need to do your homework, and then you can see the gap. We have the superior quality product and a huge market. Okay, how to get the market access, how to avoid all the challenges. So that's not easy, but I'm really happy to see that nowadays we have a lot of problem. Because if there's no problem, we have nothing left for us to solve. When you talk with venture capitalists or the startup companies, the first page of the business plan is the pain point. What's the pain point of the market? Like I want a coffee, but I'm lazy. I don't want to go there. So the pain point of Luckin Coffee maybe is just simple. So if the market is perfect, there's nothing left for us. So there are so many challenges and the gap between the reality and our dream that give us a lot of opportunity. When you guys graduate, you can go and capture it. And next one is who we are. So, oh, sorry, this is not the latest number. So we have our group, CL group, we have like 400,000 employees, which is crazy. We are 69 in the global Fortune 500. It's big. So we have 8 listed company in Hong Kong, 5 listed company in mainland China. We have quite a big asset base, mostly in mainland China. But in the last 5 years, we are allocating more capital offshore, including Hong Kong. Roughly 19 to 95% asset are in mainland China, like 5 to 10% asset are offshore. One of the changes is you can imagine we are a giant group with trillion renminbi of asset. Back to 10, 20 years ago, renminbi was appreciating. So we borrow from US dollar offshore, and then we put the money into mainland China to make investment. And we get a very high growth of the asset value and profit. At the same time, we enjoy the high appreciation of renminbi, which can already offset the borrowing cost, the low borrowing cost offshore. Basically, we are using free capital to make investment into a high growth market. So it makes a lot of sense for us to make investment into mainland China in 2000 to 2015, 16. So all the trend changes roughly at that time, 2016. So we have to rethink what's our strategy. When renminbi is depreciating, we borrow from outside, then our real interest cost is much higher. So we have to think about asset allocation and where you are. We use renminbi as our denominated currency. So you also have to think about like the US guy, Japan guy, European guy. All of us look at our domestic currency. So it also affects the way that we make investment decision and our allocation of assets. We have 5 core business. So the traditional one, like real estate, our favorite. So it contributes like, I would say 1/3, close to 40% of our net profit. We have 33 companies. So just the real estate contribute like 1/3 of all our net profit. It's crazy, but this is our cash cow. So it can support us to do other good business like consumers. We have supermarket like coffee. We make investment into like last year our company made investment into City Super. So now we are 65% shareholders of City Super, together with the founder, the Japanese guy, and also the Wu's family. And the other one is the healthcare. We have over 100 hospital. 100 hospitals sounds big, but it's still very small because we only have less than 1% market share in China. The market is really huge. And we also have power and gas, traditional business, and we are changing from traditional coal-fired into more like renewable driven. So we made an investment into UK offshore wind farm like back to 2007. It was very exciting. I take a helicopter for the due diligence ride because it is 30 kilometers away from the coast. So it is not easy to build offshore, like 30 kilometers. You can build all the turbines. Each of the turbines is like 140 meters tall. It's like 40-story high. So we have 67 across the sea. But if your like cable is broken, then it took you like billions of pounds to build all the turbines. So after investment into several years, we are also on the board of the company. We also send people there, and we learn how to operate. And we find that a lot of things can destroy your turbine. Like so, the management, operation, construction is all very challenging. So we start our sister company, China Resources Power. They start to build their first offshore wind farm, starting from this year. But this is a very long journey. It will take you like 10 years to build a turbine. So that's how we make investment and how to make make it related to our core business. I won't talk too much on our own business, but I want to have some discussion with you guys because I start as a surveyor and then I changed to a hedge fund. So back to the time when I was in the hedge fund, I was so obsessed with the pure financial investor side. I also joined some very great event organized by Hong Kong U. Like I met George Soros, Stephen Schwarzman in Luk Yau Tong in Hong Kong U. Wow, it was really amazing. Like Warren Buffett, he didn't go to Hong Kong U, but the science of heating is if you pay the game, you have to find the right spot to heat. But for investment, you can just ignore the bad business, because you get deals, like for us, we get thousands of deals every year. As an investor, we can ignore those deals we are not interested. You can just focus on those sectors that you are interested or you are familiar with. So this is the science of hitting. Because if you are in the game, you have to hit every ball coming to you, even they are not in your best comfort zone. But for investment, you can just ignore everything else, and then you can just focus on your core comparative advantage. Like you can be a retail expert, you can online shopping expert, you can ignore all the other deals. So that's the spirit of Warren Buffett. That's why he can only have 10 people managing like trillions of dollars, because he used like the science of hitting. They just focus on what he is good at. But that's the question. Do you really agree with the science of hitting? Maybe let's see. If you agree, can you raise your hand? Assuming that you are an investor. Okay, I think 1/4. Anyone do not agree? Okay. What would be the remaining? Probably. Okay. The first answer, it depends. No, anyone think it depends? Yeah. I think the correct answer is it depends. If I am in PAG, the only objective is to make money. And because PAG, we have 3 divisions. We have private equity, real estate, and hedge fund. I was in the hedge fund side. It's an open-end fund. We charge performance fee every year. So we have daily NAV showing to the investor. So when I was in PAG, it was really great. I don't have the time. I don't have the time to think things that is not related to me. What's going to do with me if this is not my core competitive advantage? I just focus on what I should focus on. So if I'm a pure investor, pure financial investor, I should definitely stick to the science of hitting. Just focus on what you're good at and then ignore everything else. Okay, so the other question is, what if you are a strategic investor? Or what if you are a corporate? Or what if you are a guy running your own family business? Can you simply ignore everything that is not related to you? Anyone want to volunteer? What do you think a strategic investor should think, or non-financial investor? What would be in their mind? What would be the key things that they are looking for? Anyone? Yeah, please.
If I didn't understand wrong, I think strategic investor, they maybe like most likely will invest in like growing companies because they believe the companies have the opportunity to become like big corporation, and then they can earn from this process. While non-financial investor, they will mainly invest in big corporation, believing that maybe they can receive dividends there, and maybe like the growing process of the company, although it's slow, but then it's mature. So like non-financial investor, I think they will invest for stability, while strategic investor, they will invest for growing companies, and then they can earn big. But then it's also very risky in this process, because like in case the growing company fails at last, and then they will also lose at loss. So I think this is my understanding. I don't know whether it's correct or not.
Well, that's a really great answer. Yes. Especially if you look at what's happening in Hong Kong nowadays, it's exactly what you mentioned. Like for Hong Kong is full of financial investors. So Hong Kong companies invest into a financial market, real estate, things that already make money or have very high certainty of making money. That's why we don't see much innovation in Hong Kong. But for a corporate, you have to look for future growth. You have to make your company like 50, 100 years old. You have to consider your company as a going concern. Because as a financial investor, we can hire and fire people overnight. But for corporate, especially even if you look at those Japanese companies, they do their work a whole life in a company. So you think about the continuity. Like if you own your family business, you will think about the old employees, you want to grow with them. But for financial investor, they used to like focus only on immediate win, quick win and big win. But for strategic investor, they look for growth. But things changed a little bit last decade because the emergence of venture capital. Venture capital, and also you can see in Hong Kong Stock Exchange, they are making like new SPAC, special purpose acquisition corporates. So we have the GEM board. So we are providing extra liquidity and extra like ability for the growth investor to cash out, to make money. So this is one of the key contribution of venture capital investor and angel investor, because they provide liquidity, they provide pricing, they provide opportunity for financial investor to make early exit. So the market is now more like diversified. More capital would be allocated to technology. This is exactly what happened in the US like 30, 40 years ago when VC start. The capital, they go there, they need to see return, and then they can get their return outside before the company really make money. So that makes the market very vibrant. And this is exactly what's happening in Hong Kong this 1-2 years. We are a few decades late, but at least we can see that the Hong Kong government is trying to do something. We are also trying to do something. Yeah, that's a great answer. Any other answer? Any things that you think strategic investor would be interested in? Just feel free. It could be anything.
So maybe responsible finance.
Yep.
I think you have the ESG, SDG, that kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not just focus on financial performance, and both in the society benefits. Yeah, that's my answer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, that's another very good answer, because nowadays when you go to like look at the forums, you have a lot of ESG forum. If you look at New World, they have the CSV, corporate social value. For us, we also have a corporate social responsibility report, because it is something that very important for financial investor, government, sovereign funds to promote. Because for investors, we usually just look at returns. But for government, for sovereign funds, you have a value more than just making immediate money. So we can see a lot of changes in rules, the ESG investment guideline, the impact investment. So people are now starting to think like Warren Buffett is a very extreme way. So like the Milton Friedman, so the only responsibility for a corporate is to make money. Like for Warren Buffett or the traditional investor, they make money out of the society and then they donate 99% of them at the end, at the back end. But nowadays, you can't do it anymore because the society is changing. When you make money, you have to make money in a responsible way. And the market is changing a lot. Like a few years ago, we talked to GPIF, the world's largest pension fund in Japan. They really focus on ESG because they used to make investment into a stock, into a company, and the company make bombs, and the bombs is hurt. Well, bombs, of course, they will hurt people, right? But hurt people in a irresponsible way. I don't really understand, but a lot of people go to GPIF and say, "Oh, you are evil." So they change all of their investment policy, not to invest into a fund directly, but make investment into fund of fund, make their ESG policy. So why people put so much pressure on a big organization? Because they are the one that driving the changes in the society. That the same thing happened in globally, not just Japan, US, China, everywhere. So a strategic investor, they can think in a very different way. They could have their own objective. Their objective could be like survive. Their objective could be like have their legacy forever. Their objective could be like helping the society. So the strategic investor is a very diversified group of people. So the world is no longer purely financial return driven. It is more diversified. So it also suits the young generation, because like when I was graduated, I have to be a surveyor, like 2-3 years of professional training, and then I climb up the career ladder. But now the world is very diversified because the objective is diversified. We need people with different discipline, people with different expertise, and people with innovative idea. So that is creating a lot of opportunity for the new generation. So going back to our approach, so how should we do things for CR? It's just for an illustration for you. We have like 50 million of end user network. We have the natural gas, we have the supermarket, we have the hospital. So like for the real estate, we have a lot of high-end consumers in our like business network. So if we build our investment, we make investment into international good companies, we could have the distribution channel back to China market. So that's one of the way that how do we unlock the China potential. And we do have a lot of partnership with international players. Like we have the drinking water, Yibo, the green bottle. The number one is Nongfu Sanquan, Nongfu Spring. So we are the number 2. So you can see that bottled water is purified water. It's selling like 1-2 renminbi per bottle. It's very low end. But it was a joint venture between China Resources and Kirin of Japan. So Kirin, they contribute like their expertise, their know-how, how to do consumers product, and then China Resources do the dirty work, how to penetrate into the market, and that was a really successful business case. Also, like Heineken China, they do joint venture with China Resources Beer. Same, we can't build a brand that people really trust yet. I think someday we will have some really great Chinese brand. I think in some sector we already did, like Huawei, but for consumer brands, it's still building their own brand because it takes years to build a brand. So Heineken, they don't know how to penetrate into China because if you really have to fight for the market, you literally have to fight on the ground because beer, you have to sell. The key distribution channel is restaurant, nightclub. So you really have to go there place by place to fight for the market. So that's some local partners would do. But for the international brand, what their focus is quality, branding, the image. So we have a lot of successful collaboration with international business. Some of this latter cases, like the Oakley I just mentioned, is a very great case. So they start from a Swedish professor. They know how to extract the nutrition and the taste. I think the taste is bad, but many ladies love the taste. I don't know why. But they are good at like extracting the nutrition, the texture, and everything. But the company was not successful until they changed the scientist into a marketing guy. The marketing guy is really good at telling story. It's ESG because plant-based is ESG. It's talking about how you transfer energy into nutrition. So a plant-based is much more efficient than meat-based, or dairy-based. So a lot of new ideas is happening in the plant-based universe or cell-cultivated. There are a lot of interesting things happening, even in Hong Kong, in Science Park, in Cyberport. And another one is Genesis Care. It is an Australian company, globally largest radiotherapy company. We try to put those guys into China market, but it's really difficult because healthcare is very domestic. We tried 3-4 years and introduced several of our best hospital, but still we can't really make the connection. So we released them. We didn't sell, but we released them to focus to US, and they make a big acquisition in US 2 years ago. So the third one is the Dudgeon, the offshore wind farm that I just mentioned. It's a very interesting investment, but at the same time, it's very boring. So when the wind farm is built, it just spins every day. So nothing value add you can really do, but it generates really great cash flow for us. We also make investment into real estate, like the ICBC headquarters in London is acquired by our sister company, and also we make investment into drugs and also apple, honey, salmon, because we have supermarket. So there's a lot of related industry that we make investment offshore, and then we try to find a way for the salmon company. I pay a visit 2 years ago before COVID to Foshan. So our sister company built a joint venture company with the local government, and then they buy some machines to turn the great quality salmon into product, and then we help the distribution. But some people will think we are giant state-owned enterprise. We will be really like tough in negotiating terms, and also people will afraid that we are bad guys. But turn out they are. Oh, I don't give a specific like case, but many of those investee companies, they really need us the first year when they get into China market. But usually we sign a contract 3 to 5 years, exclusivity distribution. When they build their distribution network, they know the people, they know the market, and the people know their brand, they go away. So but we already make our money. We help the company to grow into China, and then we make our money through our investment. And our business also make money because of the several years of distribution. So we are driving all the investment internationally in a more market-driven way, because we believe that we should do a win-win investment. And I think this should be the last page of, oh, not really. And talking about innovation. So innovation is something that we really like to do. We try to do innovation internally, but I heard some people say that like innovation is like a virus in your body. So your white blood cell will identify your innovation and kill them. Because when you are driving your company, your organization well, you don't want innovation to disturb what you are doing every day. So investment is another way to break through. Because we don't do innovation internally, we don't really have to talk with them to change their mind. We make investment externally, and then we don't talk with the top management of the company. We talk with some regional head, because there are competition between the regional head. So some of the young and like some people are really like embracing technology and innovation. We can try from some of them, and then when they get a great result, then the innovation will be successful. So that's some of our painful experience last few years. We also try to make investment into e-commerce, and we lost like more than billions of renminbi, and we give up. So we try to not to do internal innovation. We use external innovation through investment to drive internal innovation. Because China Resources was founded 1938 in Hong Kong, indeed, in Central. So it's an 83 years old company. We keep innovating internally, but the innovation nowadays is different from what we did in the past 8 decades. In the past 8 decades, we use strategy, we find what is the industry that we should get into, and then we make merger and acquisition, and it becomes our group company. But I think the future innovation is much more difficult. It's destructive innovation, destructive to our existing business, which is impossible to do it through merger and acquisition. So it would be more like inclusive. It would be more diversified. We could make more like minority investment and use their idea, because when you are in a like organization with 400,000 employees, you have system. You have a very CR Group. We have very sophisticated training HR system. We pay like millions US dollar to the HR consultant every year to help us to manage the 400,000 people. It's a lot of people. But when your HR system is sophisticated, it will kill innovation. So at the same time, we have to think about our future, the next 80 years. So this year, we built a new innovation center, and some of our young colleagues are also here today. We engaged 6 new colleagues. 5 of them are new graduates. So we need new ideas, because like yesterday we talked about like doing a new event, which I have zero experience. So basically, I am talking with them. I'm not coaching them. I think innovation starts from a question, not an answer, because I have a very strong domain knowledge in real estate. I can say I'm a real estate expert. I'm confident. And then I have 5 years of experience in PE, not that much, but at least I have the concept. But in innovation, I have less than 1 year. So I have almost zero domain knowledge. So I have to use my conceptual knowledge, what I have, to ask question. Because answer is specific to the circumstances, specific to one question. But question is not specific to one thing. We need to ask good question, how to solve the problem. I think this is the very important things that we have to do. I used to be like professional. Professional is bad in terms of asking questions, because when I was a consultant, I'm supposed to offer answer. I'm not supposed to offer question. So I changed to become an investor. So now I can start to ask questions, but it is not enough. If you want to do innovation, especially to move a big organization like us, you need to ask good questions, right questions. And this is very difficult to drive the organization to change. So you have to change from your own self. I'm still learning, but because it's a very difficult journey. One day I saw this picture in Instagram, and the story. It was posted by one of an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur in Hong Kong. This guy, he found 2 companies. The first one get listed, and then he found another ESG related energy saving company. He posted this because he is entrepreneur. So so I think when he look at this picture, he feels a lot, because entrepreneur, they get shot by VC or investor. He think I am like the VC, I'm the guy that's shooting him, and we still have big bosses behind. So more or less, I think that's at a certain level is correct. So LPs, who is LPs? Many we have the food chain in our industry. We have buy side, sell side, and middleman. Sell side could be the company selling your asset, and also investment banking, they are sell side. Investor, the fund manager, VC, or we always call GP, general partners, the fund manager, we are the buy side. But the real buy side is those guys, the LPs, pension fund, sovereign funds, government funds, and also the giant families. They are the LPs. So they are driving the fund managers like us to shoot or to push the entrepreneur to work. But like I said, they used to be very powerful last few decades. Those LP, they are really, you can imagine like 10 years ago, like I was lost back to that time when I was 27, 28, when like every time I travel, 10 people like welcome me and take me everywhere and answer all questions I have. I got lost. I thought I'm so powerful. No, I'm not powerful. The money is powerful. But now money is no longer that powerful. So because he's entrepreneur, so he think he's very low in the food chain. Until you get successful, until you prove your business concept, until you prove that you are good, then entrepreneur is on top. And then fund manager may become at the bottom of the food chain. But what we want to say here is, what is a good job? What is an elite job? And what should we do? So I think most of you are in like business school. You want to do the elite job. You want to go to the investment banking or investment fund. You want to go to the top corporates. But things really changes. So the world is no longer a lack of capital, but the world is lack of a good idea and people with great execution capability. Because Hong Kong people, I'm locally born and raised in Hong Kong, and Hong Kong people are really good at finding problems, not solutions. Well, still, again, nothing personal, but it is a like finding problem is also a skill set. But most importantly is how to solve the problem. And solving the problem is a very difficult journey. It goes a lot of up and down, and the journey is never a straight line. So don't afraid to do the dirty work. So and be more creative and be hardworking. I think hardworking is the entry ticket. If you are not hardworking, not to mention the other thing. So you can be brilliant but lazy. Then at my age, I think I see a lot of people with very strong background, family background, whatever. You can get just the entry ticket. After like 10 years, you are all by yourself. If you can't get your own core competitive advantage, the market moves really fast. So you have to build your own capability, but you have a lot of diversity because the world is more diversified. The world is more like patient than before. But at the same time, the world is changing faster than before. Yep, so that's the last page. And oh, where's the marketing page? Oh, shit. Sorry, I should put our LinkedIn and Instagram logo here, but probably I deleted it. But you can go and search online. Our innovation center is named Runnovation. So Run, we want to do accelerator because we are not university. University is very good place to nurture ideas. But we are business, so we are the connection between the not idea. You have to change your idea into a proof of concept. You make it a company, and then we help you to accelerate, to grow into business, to grow. So government, family offices, and also a lot of early stage venture capital, they would work with university to change a good idea into real life companies. And we focus more on the run, the acceleration part. Novation, so novation means like, it also means changes, it also means like innovation. So we hope to build this platform, and then we start from hosting events, hosting like competitions to help the innovation of Hong Kong. So this innovation center is only 1 month old, so it's just opened in October this year. So we are still learning. It is an internal startup from our China Resources Capital. So I'm like a startup founder now, although it's not profit. But ESG is one of our core value today. We don't just simply make money. We want to make money in a responsible way. So we put it spent quite a lot, few million US dollars to build the whole company to run for next 3-5 years. But our boss is so determined to do this. So hopefully we will have more discussion with you guys. And also thank you again for Hong Kong U. Thank you Professor Lam. Thank you Joseph, and thank you Ronald. Yeah, thank you.
And I guess before we take the photos, why don't we have some Q&A sections first? Okay, so we got a chance to have both Ronald and Dennis here. So if you have got anything you want to ask or anything you want to share with them, now it is the opportunities. I will hand the mic to Ronald.
Well, I would like to ask the first question on behalf of the student. Well, if you are to hire an employee, I'm sure everyone here would like to look for jobs after they graduate. So what kind of quality are you looking for? You know, because I'm sure different generation, different boss have different aspect on hiring employees. So what are you looking for?
Yep. I think this year or the last few years, because of the COVID, the world is changing a lot. In different environment, I think the criteria of engaging hiring people will be quite different. So like back to 2003 when I was graduated, the market was really bad. So we can't find really great job at that moment. And I remember back to 2007, our intern said they have got like 7-8 offers right before they graduate. Because when the market is going up, people will just look at whoever they are, wherever they are, when they are available, they will hire them. But now it is the difficult moment. So like in 2008, the same class of students, they got 0 offer. So it really depends on the timing. But I think we should look at the criteria during the bad timing so that you could equip yourself at any difficult moment. I think like the problem solving skill is very important. Like when I back to University of Hong Kong, we the first 2 years they they let us to join any activities to find yourself, who are you. And when I was graduated, I feel really embarrassing because like in my internship, in a surveying firm, they asked me to draw a handrail. What? Well, I didn't teach any drawings. So I was never taught any what I call the domain knowledge. I don't know what the handwheel looks like. I go to the street and see what's the loading, how many bolts I have to use. I have zero knowledge. But other like interns in PolyU and CityU, also they have surveying class. Oh, they know exactly what they should do. So when I was in the intern and graduate, what did I learn in the university? I want to blame Hong Kong youth. But after a few years, I start to realize, yes, we are supposed to train to be leaders. We're supposed to train to think about the big questions, not how to draw a handwheel. I think the guys drawing handwheel are still drawing handwheel to. No, still, it's not offensive, but if you're trained to do the specific domain knowledge, that's how you're trained. But I think Hong Kong, you're training people to solve problems. No matter what the problem is, you have to get yourself ready to handle every problem. And psychologically, you have to be strong, because no one will take care of you like a baby. People will take care of you like a slave, like you're the people at the bottom. Because in your whole learning life, you are at the university, so you're the highest among students. But when you graduate, you are the lowest in the food chain. And in any sense, you are the lowest in the food chain. You have to accept this reality because you have zero working experience. So the mental ability to embrace change and also get more active. Yesterday, I have a meeting with our boss. He said something I can only say in Cantonese. 出嚟行最緊要係咩啊？就係出嚟。你唔出嚟，我乜嘢都做唔到。So he was saying is when we organize activities, organize events, organize meetings, you have to show up. Because when I was in university, my attendance was very low. I really regret this. I should come more. But why you should show up? Because you want more interaction with people. You want to know what's really happening in the society. Don't hide yourself. Go out. Don't be the keyboard fighter. Go to like our CLB people, fight the real people. So I think that's a very important part. Yeah.
Yes, be proactive. Okay. And anyone like to ask questions? Yep. Well.
Actually, before the question, I want to respond.
Oh, you want to? Okay,
first.
yeah.
But afterward, I guess we can actually open the question to the floor. Even when we talk about handwheels, obviously we don't want to keep on drawing handwheels. But when you have started a job somewhere in the future, maybe your first job is to draw the handwheel. You can also think about how can you improve the handwheel. And I think that is what Hong Kong you can build you up to that standard. Maybe it's how you construct it, how you use the factory to build it more efficiently. Maybe you can actually improve the way people use the handwheels. Then maybe you are the first one who builds the handwheel startup and then becoming a large corporate, and then maybe China Resources is going to invest in your handwheel company. So you never know. So this is where you can actually use the mindset to be creative. And I think that is what I would like to share. By the way, indeed, both Dennis and myself, we are the alumni from Hong Kong U. While he's on the 5th floor of Nose Building, I was on the 3rd floor. So I was with the Department of Architecture. So maybe during that time when you don't know how to draw the handwheel, you can come to the 3rd floor to find us. We can actually support you on that one.
Yeah, I should know you earlier.
Okay, thank you. So questions from the floor.
I got a question from Mr. Choi. So regarding to your advice of asking the right question, do you have any tips for us on how could we train on or learn to ask the right question? Thank you.
Yeah, wow, this is a very challenging question because I don't have a quick answer on this because asking the right question require you to, first of all, you have to, even at your age, at my age, it's difficult to change my mind. So you have to like unfrozen yourself. Don't, people react in two ways. One is I don't know if you read the book, Thinking Fast and Slow. So you have two ways of thinking. The fast way is your default. So when you get more experience, you have your immediate answer. So you have a very quick answer. that make life easier. You don't have to think everything again and again. But if you want to make a great decision, you have to think slow. You have to use your brain. I think like 70% of your time you don't use your brain. Like every one of us, we use our default. But if you really want to use your brain, forget about what you know, forget about what your background is, and then try to think on a higher level. Like I was a surveyor. When I saw the investor, I see that they see things in a different way. And when I become an investor, I see the LPs. They see another higher level way. And when we meet the government officials, they see another different way. So we have to be, I would say, like empathy. You have to put yourself in other people's shoes, so that you can. I think that's the first step to ask good questions. But that's necessary, but not sufficient. You may find others sufficient criteria.
Well, I want to add some of my ideas on asking right questions, on good questions. That is very important. I think be prepared. Well, every time when we go into a meeting or look into a project, the things that we do beforehand is go into the internet research, for example, ESG or whatever the project is. We go and do our homework. We prepare ourselves in the domain and the content first, and then when, for example, if Dennis is trying to pitch a project to me or at that time, then from my research, I can see what is the difference in his thinking, what else I did not understand through my research, so I can ask him and interact with him, and the critical thinking part, using different angles of different stakeholders' point of view in asking different angles questions, would be really produce a good result, or quite maybe you can ask innovative questions through this different aspect of angle. I think that can also, asking the right question usually show a good talent of yourself in front of the boss. I guess that would be interesting enough, yeah.
Yeah, and also I recommend you guys to think, look at the sky, but at the same time, what Hong Kong you people lack is the way to look down. And I finally I draw the handwheel. I didn't say that it's not important. It's still important, but I think the philosophy of Hong Kong is they believe that you have the ability to learn fast when you really do the dirty work. But I'm good at doing dirty work. I'm really good at doing dirty work. But it's not sufficient. But you have to also look up in the sky. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. I just want to ask that how to choose industry. As you know, for example, I'm really interested in consumer industry, but as the data you just showed, I saw the trend is in technology and healthcare. But both the industry has a very high entry barrier. As you know, you have to know more about the technology and the specialize in it. So, but there's also a lot of opportunities. At this stage, it is difficult to find a good job. So, could you give me some advice on how to choose industry? Thank you.
Yep. For industry, we have sectors, and we also have subsectors. And the border now is becoming more, it was used to be very clear, the border. If you do supermarket, you do the Pacific Coffee, it's Pacific Coffee. But technology breakthrough, like we mentioned, like healthcare, consumers, power, real estate, we are on the technology and finance part. So the first four vertical, they are very specialized vertical. But for finance and innovation, we have to break through all of the business. So when you choose industry, you can think whether you want to be a specialist or a generalist. I used to be a real estate specialist. I focus on one industry, and I can like think in a very real estate way. But when you change yourself to like more innovation driven, you have to think about the even much bigger picture. What is driving the changes? So when you think about the industry, I think you have to find something that you are interested. I'm very interested in construction. I really go to construction site to look at what they're doing. So I don't know, it's very nerdy, but you must have something that you are really interested. That's something that can't stop you from keep learning by yourself. So that's one entry point. The other entry point is you better choose something that you can see a growth trend. Like consumers definitely is a growing business, but like I mentioned, the landscape changed really fast. The new consumption. I recently met a good friend. They have a new product launch. They use the KOL to sell. They don't use the traditional channel, and they don't have to sign the contract with the KOL. If the KOL can sell, and then they will charge a commission. So they have a ceremony last Friday, and the top one KOL was surprisingly not the kind of KOL you imagine. Very just like ordinary humble look, but they can sell. So in this new digital world, don't use your default. I always she should be really pretty or handsome, or no, the top one is really ordinary. So digital or the big data is something that we cannot use in the past. We use our experience, like in the restaurant, the manager will know I should order how many fish, abalone. So that was the old days. The new days is what's the data, what data you have to collect, how to analyze the data in a more digital way. So consumers is now more data driven, digital driven, because consumer pattern change so fast. So no matter which industry you think about, you should not fight with the existing players. You should find a way that the new generation will get a comparative advantage. I always want to find comparative advantage. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just a quick response is that with my ordinary look, I would be able to be a KOL, I guess.
Good morning. Thank you for your presentation. I was wondering if you could share one of your major professional mistakes and what you learned out of, what lesson you took out of that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Wow, the questions are all very, very, very tough. If you talk about professional mistake, I think it's 2017. We tried to make an investment into a Spanish natural gas distribution company. We have a very good partners. They are a UK hedge fund focused on energy investment for decades. They are very good. They have a full team of people that are already engaged, and then they will go into the company. They give us two seat in the company, so that every summer I could go to Spain. Wow, it was really attractive. And in the winter, I can send my colleague there. So that's a very attractive terms. I can learn. I can go to Spain, and that was a great investment because Spain, back to that time, I can get double digit, roughly 10% return, which is really good. It is a regulated asset. So things look really good. We have the right people. I love the market. I love the idea that I can go there every year. Not really, but I really think it's a very great opportunity. Turn out the deal closed really fast. We can meet with the final deadline. But the professional mistake is, Spain back to 2017, there was an election that they have to split into different countries. The country risk goes up, and we make many investigation into the company. We make many investigation into the industry, but we did forget about the geopolitical risk. We didn't really think about what's happening in Spain. It was a long history. Things happened for quite a long time already. We just don't know. So I think this is a very major mistake if we made the investment. Luckily, we didn't meet the timeline. But again, when you look at one specific investment, you think you already master every knowledge. You still have to think out of the box. What else you you have missed. So that was quite lucky. If we make the investment, probably I can't speak to you now. I don't know where I am.
Thank you so much for your sharing. My question is about one of the last few slides you had on. So the slide said something similar to Hong Kong's focus on financial services has basically led to opportunities becoming less attractive in STEM sectors. And at the same time, we were talking about a trend about how from signs of hitting, we're shifting to strategic investments about growth. I feel that like a chicken and egg situation is coming up because we don't have the talent here. Even if investors are willing to put money into that area, we probably don't have the right people to invest money into in Hong Kong. So how do you think this situation is going to develop as we move further in time?
Yep, thank you. That's also a tough question for the entire Hong Kong community to answer. So with my limited experience in technology sector, because I used to focus on the larger deals last few years, and in fact, in 2017, my boss asked me to do some research on Hong Kong tech and innovation, and I talked to Cyber Science Park and some VCs. My recommendations, let's give up. It doesn't make sense. But some people really continue because I was short-sighted at this moment. But other people like the New World, the Eureka Nova, like the Tusk Park, like the Muse Fabrica, like many other players, they spend like 4 or 5 years on this. And this year, I revisit the market again. And we spent a few million US dollars on building this new platform because I was convinced. Firstly, you have to drive from the very top, from the government. From the university to business, it takes a lot of resources. Like in 2018, I visited IP Group in UK. You can search, it's a listed company. So they start from Oxford and Cambridge. Their slogan is from cradle to IPO. It's true. They help to work with professors, change the ideas of professors and students. It helped to commercialize, register IP Group. So they help to register their IP. They help to incubate a company. And now they are a very big, not really huge, but a big company in UK. They also work with other universities. So that's one of the things that Hong Kong used to lack. But with the new innovation like entrepreneurship in Hong Kong U and other university, that's a very important initiative. So university is putting resources, government is putting resources. I also talked with some government officials that they are pushing the HAMA to put money to support the Hong Kong local VC. They didn't do it because Hong Kong MA is pure financial investor. They use the science of hitting. They just make money. But if you look at ADIA, GIC, Temasek, other sovereign funds, they all have their other objectives, like supporting local business, supporting local innovation. HM is crazy. They didn't do it for decades. But now they start to put money. I heard it's 3 billion Hong Kong dollar. Not that much, but it's a very good start. And also the local Hong Kong family, they are putting money. This year you can see Prenetic, they got their listed in SPAC. Hong Kong Taxi got merged by Uber. And Pickup, they get their latest round of fundraising. Seek, they also just closed their bridge loan round. So we see a lot of capital market activities happening, and Hong Kong SPAC is going there. So it will help us to fill up the gap, because when you're talking about seed capital, it's just 1-2 million Hong Kong dollar, a lot of which family they can put. But for the round Series A or Pre-A, well, we're talking about few million US dollar, not many families were willing to put. But at the IPO, Hong Kong is one of the largest IPO market, so we lack the one in the middle. But we are trying to fill up, we also see the market is starting to filling it up. So we are strategic investor, but we care about social responsibility, but we can't lose money. So we start this year, because this year is really game changing. Yeah.
Okay, maybe in the back. Yeah, at the back. Two final questions.
Thank you, Sir, for the presentation. I've got a quick question. So you mentioned how you went essentially from a surveyor within the real estate industry to the buy side, and that's not a typical route that people take. What skills do you think helped you bridge that gap and essentially made you be able to market yourself better towards the buy side? And then as a second part of that question, would you recommend people to go into industry first before joining the finance and essentially, getting that industry knowledge? Or would you recommend, looking back in hindsight, to go directly into finance?
Yep. I think for people in the buy side, usually for example in Blackstone KKR, they used to start from the associate program. So typical path for like buy side would be like you do whatever work you do, and then you have to prove that you're good. Roughly in the late 20s, you will get an MBA, and then MBA is a signal of you want to change. So you change, and then you get into the associate program of investment banking or the buy side. So that's one very typical one. The other one is you go straight to the investment banking. You have a very rigorous training, more financial modeling, everything. I can't say which route is better, but I would say every choice they comes with a consequence. If you go to investment banking, you work under high pressure. You will get yourself very short-sighted because people are all smart. If you are smart enough, you will react to the rule of the game. So the rule of the game of sell side of investment banking is to be short-sighted, get your bonus this year, and think about the future later. If you work from an entrepreneur side, a corporate side, then you have the ability to do work slow, and you have the ability to think about your future, to think big. So investment bank route is definitely the fast track so that you can make money when you're young, when you want to buy your sports car at your 20s. But life is really long. It's crazy that if you imagine, I graduated at 22, and the retirement age, I can assure you that retirement age when you retire at least 70 or 75. You have 50 years to work. So many of people at my age start from the fast track side are now taking a career break, managing partner of XX Capital with only himself in his company. It's very difficult to find a path. You will reach your peak at mid-30, and then not many people can continue. But if you work for the slower path, work for the corporate, you can have a much longer career. It's really crazy to get retired at forced to retire at 35 or so. Yeah.
Hi, thank you. I also have a quick question. I was wondering that you mentioned that food chain. As an entrepreneur, would you think that they should better communicate with the VC, the higher ups, perhaps when they can still hold their dream dear, but can still get the money? Like, how do you have any advice for them?
Yep. First of all, you have to think about what business you are in. If you really talk to VC, so there are many different entrepreneurs. If you are doing like, well, for example, like education, earlier this year we talked with quite a few friends, VC and also other people doing education in Hong Kong. There is a lack of international school. Well, when I talk to the VC, oh, are you crazy? Are you going for the brick and mortar model? You can't scale up. You need 3-5 years to build your branding, and then 10 years to build your third, fourth kindergarten, and it's a small business. And I'm not convinced that you will put your own effort into building a small kindergarten brand. You should do things like do one quick and do online, and then you can outsource your capability, and then build a big business like into 100 branch into 3-5 years. So that is two different ideas, even if you are doing kindergarten, and both are successful. So when you do your business, entrepreneur, a lot of entrepreneurs, they want to make slow money. They want to have a long career life. No, sorry, not career life. They want to build their empire. The VC will push them very hard to find new ideas, to find new fundraising, push up the valuation. So you have to find the right people with same value with you. So VC is not the only channel. There are many different channels. So you have to differentiate yourself whether you should find patient capital, fast capital, or capital that can support you to grow in the future. There are so many different choices, but whatever route you choose, you have to find your core comparative advantage. You have to answer very, very tough questions. That's the fundamental. When you can cross this border, you can start to think about the source of capital you have to choose.
Okay, because of time, I think our Q&A section is up.